As we continue here on NewsNation, Misty Marris is here in studio with me. And Misty, you were saying that for all we've learned this afternoon, there's still some unknowns and still some questions that we should be thinking about, which are what?
Definitely some unknowns. Look, we learned the identity of the suspect, and we weren't expecting necessarily to do that. The first speaker came out and said, I can't say that right now. Then we learned it. So here are the open questions in my mind. First, how did he have access to his mother's gun, who is a member of the sheriff's office? Was it gifted to him? Was it left out on the bed? Was it in a safe and he somehow figured out the combination? We don't know. That's going to be an important factual question. The other is there anything out there that would tend to show that he had a propensity to do something like this? Did he have, are there writings? Were there mental health issues? Are there other reasons that there would have been a concern that he may even have accessibility to a gun that's in the house? So that's going to be a big question. And then the other piece is what everybody wants to know. This seems so brazen, Connell. The way that it's been described, kind of driving up in this very crowded area and just opening fire. What was the motive? And is there something, a writing or something that could explain, get into his head? We know he's not speaking to law enforcement. That's what's being reported. But, and of course, he's still a suspect. But what was the motivation behind this? And was it planned? Was there planning and preparation that went into it?
Yes. Right. Was the gun just so accessible that he was able to pick it up? He had a shotgun with him, though, as well.
Right.
And just drive over to the campus.
And the fact that another gun is there leads me to believe that the goal was more carnage.
Everybody's combing the social media now, him and his mom and everything, and trying to piece these pieces together. The one thing we have here on the tablet, by the way, is that youth a group that he was involved with the local police department in Leon County here. And so this was their youth advisory council. I guess I could use the Zoom function, see, because now you'll see who it is. Phoenix, you can probably read that there. Phoenix Eichner Jr., Lincoln High School. So that's the suspect in question. So, I mean, it was interesting. Somebody previously brought it up that sometimes there's some training involved there. And, you know, when you're on these groups.
I would be curious to know what types of training, and we do know that it was a training program, community outreach. Was there some kind of weapons training that was a part of that? And you know why that matters, Connell? It links back to that idea of, was there any indication that this could be a violent individual? And so knowing if somebody might have that propensity, if there are writings or something to that effect that would be alarming, and then the understanding that they also know how to handle a weapon. So those types of things link up, and this is what we were talking about as far as potential negligence, recklessness, whether it be a civil theory or a criminal theory. Those are the types of things that we're going to be looking for and what matters. And my guess would be his mother likely has an attorney right now, right?
Because, well, that's probably why he's not talking.
Right. And I'm sure that's a part of it. We know he's injured. We don't know the extent of that injury.
True.
But we do know that as far as the implication that she's in the sheriff's office, they came right out the gate with that, which I think was probably a strategic move, because if you don't say it and people start to talk and find out, it's going to look like there's something nefarious. But she's going to have a lot to deal with, as we spoke about before. It's absolutely going to result in an internal investigation. That's likely some type of leave of absence. And so that piece of it, and then what's to come after that, you know, she's likely going to need representation in some capacity as the police continue to
wonder if, speaking of the investigation, I haven't heard anything about this. There's so much CCTV now, whether there's video on campus that would have, because it was outdoors, right, in between buildings. I would think that a place like Florida State has a lot of video.
There's almost, in most cases nowadays, there's almost always something captured on video, and that's because you're talking about cameras, security cameras. They are so commonplace, and so I think in the coming days, we're likely to see, we're likely to see at least some kind of digital information about what happened, this tragic incident. I think you're absolutely right.
Usually they can piece that together when the kid left the house. If it was, almost, obviously cell phones would help with that as well, but being able to scan a license plate, when did he drive onto campus? And then when he got on campus, again, a lot of the video we're relying on now is from cell phones and the like the one you see screen right there, but the campus, I'm sure, has the video set up.
Well, they know the vehicle of the suspect. So to your point, they're going to recreate his path to the campus that day. Where did he come from? How did he get there? When you think about it, everybody, even in residential areas, there's Nest cameras all over the place. It is very difficult to evade cameras in this day and age. So I think that law enforcement likely knows a lot more than they're saying, even though we did learn a significant amount. The fact that they've identified a suspect, that opens up a whole treasure trove of information.
Right. And, to the earlier point, some of these still photos tell the story of the tension that was in the air, but the response time, sees people walking out with their hands up as they were just clearing buildings and clearing rooms one by one earlier on a college campus in the United States. The response time was very, very fast, according to officials there. They were right on the scene, and, they were able to neutralize the threat, as they say, as quickly as you could, probably as quickly as you could. Of course, 2 people died and 6 others were injured, but someone said it earlier, if they hadn't acted so quickly, it probably could have been much worse.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's unfortunate, but in this day and age, those types of trainings for faculty, for security, for police, it is required. It's required that there be response time, because these situations, it's all about neutralizing the shooter.
And that's what they were
to avoid what could be even a more tragic outcome.
These students, see them being organized outside the building. That was in the middle of the whole thing. All right, we'll be right back with